Have you ever wondered how deep love can go? So deep, in fact, that it transcends life itself. Imagine standing at the threshold of death, reaching out for someone who is no longer there, just beyond your grasp. How far would you go to bring them back? How much would you risk? In many stories, love is a force so strong it can defy the natural order of things. But what if that love, despite all its strength, isn't enough? What if there are rules even love can't break? Today, we delve into one of the most tragic and fascinating stories from Greek mythology, the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. A tale that isn't just about love, loss, and music, but about the fundamental nature of human desire and the irreversible consequences of defying the gods. Our story begins in the rolling hills of ancient Greece, where Orpheus, son of Apollo, and the muse Calliope, was born. Now, Orpheus wasn't just any musician. No, this man was a master. His music was said to be so beautiful that even the trees and rivers would stop to listen. The wind would calm. Wild animals would lay down at his feet, enchanted by his melodies. He wasn't just playing an instrument. His music had the power to move the world around him. His lyre was more than an instrument. It was his voice, his soul. It was a direct link to the divine. Now, this is where the story takes a more personal turn. Orpheus, despite being gifted beyond measure, was not immune to the vulnerabilities of the heart. He fell in love with Eurydice, a beautiful nymph. Their love was pure, intense, and full of promise until fate decided to intervene. Eurydice, after marrying Orpheus, was tragically bitten by a venomous snake while walking through a meadow. In an instant, she was taken from him. Can you imagine the heartbreak? Losing someone so quickly, so violently, that you barely had time to understand what was happening. It's like life itself snatching away a dream too soon. Orpheus, devastated, couldn't accept her death. And here's where things get really interesting. Orpheus decided to descend into the underworld itself, determined to bring her back. You see, the underworld, ruled by Hades and Persephone, is a place where souls reside forever. A dark realm with rivers of torment, shadows, and silence, except for the faint echo of souls lost in eternity. But love, as we know, has a way of challenging what's thought to be impossible. So Orpheus, driven by grief and love, did what no one had done before. He entered the underworld, uninvited, to plead with the gods for his wife's return. Now, you might be thinking, how could Orpheus even think he could pull this off? After all, the underworld is a place of finality. Souls don't return. But Orpheus wasn't alone in his music. With his lyre in hand, he played a song so haunting, so beautiful, that it reached the very hearts of Hades and Persephone, the rulers of the dead. Imagine that for a second. A sound so powerful it softens even the hardest of hearts. In a place where souls are eternally trapped, Orpheus's music spoke of love, loss, and the unbreakable bond between two souls. It wasn't just a song, it was a plea, an offering, a lifeline to a realm where nothing was supposed to move. Hades and Persephone, moved by the music, offered Orpheus a deal. Eurydice would be allowed to return to the land of the living, but only on one condition. Orpheus must lead her out of the underworld without looking back at her. If he did, even for a moment, she would be lost to him forever. A simple condition, right? But, as the story goes, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. Orpheus, now with Eurydice behind him, begins the journey back through the darkened underworld. He could hear her footsteps, feel her presence, and in his heart, he believed she was with him. But the uncertainty of the situation gnawed at him. Was she truly there? What if it was some cruel illusion? The air grew heavier. The silence was broken only by the rustling of shadows. The pressure was mounting. Was he really going to make it? Would the gods truly let him succeed? As they approached the exit, a moment of doubt struck him. He needed to see her, just one glimpse. Could she really be following him? Was she really there? His mind raced, and in a split second, Orpheus turned to look back. And that single moment of doubt was enough to shatter everything. Eurydice vanished, just like that. The deal was broken. And no matter how hard Orpheus begged, how desperately he played his lyre, it was too late. She was gone. Orpheus wandered after that, his heartbroken melodies echoing through the wilds, a mournful refrain that spoke of love lost. His music became a constant cry of grief as he withdrew from the world, now a shadow of the man he once was. His life ended tragically at the hands of those who couldn't understand his sorrow. Some say it was the followers of Dionysus, enraged by his rejection of their advances, while others speak of a storm sent by the gods. In the end, it mattered little. The tragedy of his love was sealed. The group of irate women, furious at his scorn, tore him apart in a frenzy, throwing his body and lyre into the river Hebros. His severed head, still whispering Eurydice's name, floated out to sea. The muses, finding his head and lyre, gave him a proper burial, and his grave emanated music, plaintive yet beautiful. Orpheus's soul descended to the underworld, where he was finally reunited with his beloved Eurydice. His lyre, transformed into the constellation Lyra, now shines forever in the night sky. What does it all mean, though? What's the takeaway? Is there some divine lesson here about the dangers of hubris, of thinking you can outsmart the gods? Is there something about the nature of love and its impermanence that we're meant to understand? The myth of Orpheus and Eurydice isn't just a story of love. It's a story of desire, uncontrollable, overwhelming, and often unyielding. It's about pushing boundaries, but also about the inevitable consequences of doing so. The gods set the rules for a reason, after all. In philosophy, we talk about the limits of human understanding and how sometimes our greatest desires clash with the forces that govern existence. Orpheus's journey to the underworld is an allegory for our own lives. We all want to bring back what's lost, to rewrite the past, but the laws of nature and time can't be bent. And perhaps that's the message, that we must learn to accept the things we cannot change, to embrace loss rather than trying to reverse it. But there's also something incredibly human in Orpheus's mistake. That moment when doubt creeps in, when we want to see proof of what we can't fully trust. It's something we all grapple with. How many of us have moments where we question the things we love, the things we hold dear, and in doing so, lose them forever? And with that, we conclude our exploration into the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, a tale of love, loss, and the irreversible consequences of human desire. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching beyond the structure of what you know.